Hi there guys, it's Aaron here from Console Deals, back again with another unboxing video to kick off your week, and it's another special treat from none other than our friends over at PowerA. They've been hard at work developing yet another third-party controller that you might want to consider, but this one does have a pretty cool gimmick to it. So we're going to be unboxing the PowerA Spectra Infinity Enhanced Xbox controller for both the Xbox One and Xbox Series family of consoles. As you can see, I've got the box here. I'm yet to take a look, but I am quite eager, particularly because it's got the attractive sort of LED light vibes going on. You can see all the sort of LED trimmings. It will rotate through the colors there. But is it all style and no substance? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. But before I give you my full thoughts, let's dive straight on in with the unboxing. So here we are guys with the Spectra Infinity controller in all of its glory. Obviously the big standout feature for this one is the LED sort of RGB-esque lighting design, which the box matches in terms of shininess, you'll be pleased to hear, and I'm glad to see that the camera is picking all of this one up. So like I said, this is a particularly interesting prospect for players who want to opt for a PowerA accessory but don't want to pay through the nose for it. I'll go a bit more into detail about the price and kind of who this controller is aimed at a little later on, but until then, let's just bask in all this controller's glory. So yeah, we've taken it out the box, all the bits and pieces. And then, obviously, before we take a look at the controller itself, you get this simple, I'm hard-pressed to call it a startup guide to begin with, just basically all the instructions here. No fancy booklet, that should tell you something about sort of the RRP of the controller, but, you know, in terms of getting things set up, it's fairly standard. And then, so is the packaging, it would seem. Literally just the controller and also this 10-foot braided USB to USB to micro USB cable, which should be more than long enough for most players. Yeah, should do the trick. So onto the controller itself, and it's got a nice sense of heft to it, but it's also not too heavy. Feels really good with the soft touch matte design on the front there, nice and smooth to the finger. And obviously, you know, you wouldn't, if you were to glance at this one, you'd probably think it was just your standard Xbox controller, but you've got the volume toggle in the bottom there. You've obviously got the back paddles too, so you can program those to any other button function. And of course, we've got the hair trigger locks, both of which have become pretty accustomed in kind of pro third-party accessories in terms of video games. So yeah, there's a lot to love here. Feels really nice as well. And then obviously I'm going to show you how this thing looks lit up, and to do that I'm going to have to plug this in. So I've got my Xbox One just pushed in on the side there, and I'm going to wrestle with this mess of wires. And you did hear me correctly, this is micro USB, so we've gone particularly old school with this one, but I don't think the controller was just developed. It is a few months old now, so that kind of makes sense. But having said that, it works perfectly with the Xbox Series family of consoles as well. I've got a Series X and it works absolutely fine. So to switch the color on, there's two modes. There's breathable and solid. There's actually a button on the back which past Aaron will find momentarily in the center there. So as you can see, the standard shade is just kind of that classic Xbox green, and I think it looks really nice without being too unsightly, which is obviously normally a tricky balancing act. And yeah, it's definitely not too distracting, but it will glow a bit brighter if you're playing in the dark. And then finally, I mentioned it later on in this video, but the Fusion Pro 2 controller is the one rested there. I just thought I'd compare the two. So here's the Spectra Infinity. Obviously no rubberized grips, but quite a lot of the same features. The only thing you're missing from the Fusion Pro are the 4 back paddles. It drops to 2. But other than that, they've both got volume toggles, both soft touch, matte, and the dual rumble support in both is very impressive indeed. And it is less heftier as well. So all around, a great controller. So there you have it guys, in terms of the contents that you get actually inside the box. I hope you enjoyed that. The wire got a bit tangled there, I think, and it was getting out of hand, but other than that, we made it through. So what do I think about the PowerA Spectra Infinity Enhanced controller, other than the fact that it is a rather big mouthful to say? Well, I've got it right here in my hands. I've been playing around with it a lot, namely been playing kind of the Ascent, which is the latest Xbox Game Pass hit. It just came out top-down twin-stick shooter, which should really show off sort of everything a controller can do. Also been playing Dirt 5 because I find that racing games are another great way to test out the controller, as well as a bit of Gears of War, because this is an Xbox-themed video at the end of the day. And the first thing to say is, guys, is that this is an incredibly solid third-party controller. I know sometimes on the channel I'm kind of recommending you sort of high premium quality, professional grade controllers, particularly from the PowerA guys. Obviously, they've got their Fusion line, which I really do like a lot. Tested them now for Switch, PS4, and Xbox, and I found all of them a dream, but all for different reasons. So, you know, I'm quite happy that I can easily recommend you the Spectra Infinity because it is priced significantly lower, even more so than Microsoft's first-party effort, because you can find this one on the shelves here in the UK. I think it retails for around about $39.99, even though I've seen it out there for anywhere between $29.99 and $34.99. And obviously that's really good because the main Xbox Series controller, whether you get it in white or black, depending on if you've got the Series X or S, generally retails for around $49.99. So you can get potentially up to a nice £20 discount here for the in the UK for the Spectra Infinity. And I would say the only sacrifice you really have to consider making is just how much you enjoy playing wirelessly. Maybe if your TV is kind of close enough and you're not going to find it much of an issue, then the Spectra Infinity will serve you right, particularly because the cable is just incredibly, you know, long. I think it's around about 10 foot, or, you know, not far off that. As you probably saw in the video, at one point I was getting myself tangled in the wires. There's just so much of it, but it is good. It's, you know, it's fully braided. It's never going to tangle, so no worries there. It feels incredibly comfortable to hold in the hands. It's got a nice soft touch matte finish at the front there, which I'm always a big fan of, particularly because it won't leave any like fingerprints, and because, you know, that really just is the bane of my life. So yeah, no worries and no fears of it here. Other than that, the D-pad, you know, it's got a great sense of feedback to it. And speaking of feedback, the sort of like high precision analog sticks, whatever they call it in the official marketing, really do feel great to click in. So here we go with the official Console Deals clickety test. So there you have it, pretty good, I would say, especially on the third-party controller front. Other than that, in terms of bells and whistles, you've obviously got the volume control embedded in the center of the gamepad there, which is something that I think PowerA are starting to roll out in almost all of their third-party controller designs. You've got the two back programmable buttons, as opposed to the four sort of back paddles that you get with the Fusion line, so you are sacrificing two back buttons there. But having said that, you know, having an option to just squeeze for an extra fire, alt fire, or, you know, aiming, you know, it's good to have that option there. And then of course you've also got the three-way hair trigger locks as well, so you can sort of adjust the distance it takes to pull down the trigger, which is, you know, PowerA are all about options, as any good manufacturer should be when it comes to video game accessories. So it's gonna see you through, and as I mentioned, all for roughly £15 less, £15-20 less than the first party option. Obviously, as good as those extra bells and whistles are, the big main feature with this one is the LED trimmings you sort of get all around the controller. And this is something I'm usually quite fearful of, because if there's one thing I don't want from my, you know, video game accessories, I don't want them being garish. I want them to kind of ride that line between being stylish but also practical. And I would say that the Spectra Infinity controller just about manages to ride that line, particularly because it doesn't just slam loads of LED lights everywhere. No, instead you've got this lovely black finish, as I mentioned earlier, but also the LED sort of outlines, they're around the D-pad, the analog sticks, the buttons, and, you know, around the front forward facing faceplate. So and when it's switched on, you've got the choice between two modes, which I believe are called solid and breathing. I usually go for solid, which is the one where the colors kind of don't flicker through alternate colors and then rather stay solid, particularly because I don't want to be distracted when I'm playing my games. I tend to hold my controller obviously in the lap of my hands, and when I'm concentrating on the action, the last thing I want is to look down for whatever reason. I don't know if you guys remember, but obviously a big problem with the DualShock 4 controller back when the PS4 first rolled out was that you had that light bar on the back of the gamepad, and it would constantly point and give you glare from your own TV, which was just a major design flaw. None of that here whatsoever. You might not be able to change out the faceplates, but having said that, all the colors I've experienced work perfectly well with the Spectra Infinity controller. And other than that, I'm really impressed with the the dual rumble in this controller as well, because that's something that I really loved from the Fusion Pro 2. So I'm great to see that feature come over here. Whenever I'm playing I keep on wanting to say DualSense. Whenever I'm playing Dirt 5, I really can feel every bump in the road depending on the surface, quite literally as well. I would say it's at least on par, if not better, than the official first-party Xbox Series controller. In terms of the rumble, obviously it's up to you whether or not you want to sacrifice the wireless play, but having said that, for as cheap as this controller is, it's got a nice sense of heft to it. So there you have it, guys, in terms of my full thoughts on the PowerA Spectra Infinity Enhanced Wired Controller for Xbox consoles. Do you plan on picking it up? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll also try to answer any questions you guys leave behind. But until next time, I want to thank you for watching this video. Don't be afraid to like this video if you enjoy content like this. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with everything console deals. But until next time, thank you very much for watching and happy gaming.